This is the application for the Wyze Cam Pro. You'll note right here I have the Wyze Cam up at the top. You can see it is indicating that it is on. It's also letting me know, hey, I've got some event recordings, and then there's some try things up here. The Wyze app has changed a little bit from past products that I've done. However, this is going to be concentrating on the Wyze Cam Pro. To access the Wyze Cam Pro, you would simply select your icon, and it brings you into a live feed. And this is live. There is a cat right there, so we're going to probably see him moving around throughout the review process. Now, the Wyze Cam Pro drastically changes the user interface compared to other Wyze Cam products. Gone are having to scrub through a timeline. You can see right here, this is my timeline. These icons all indicate something. So the hand wave means that there was motion. The purple dog means that there's a pet, as you can see right there, and he's running off over there now. And then if I come down this way, you have a person icon letting you know that there's a person. There are other icons, but we'll talk about them when we get to them. If I tap on my live feed here, you can see I have the option for 2K. That's going to be the highest image quality that you can get from this. If I tap on this, I can select 2K, SD, or 360. Notice there is no 1080 listed here. So you're either going to go to a standard def or 360. So there's no real intermediate. So if I lower this and tap on that, you can see it now says SD. Also, we have our live icon here. Right down here, this is our LED indicator. So the LEDs that are on the front of our Wyze Cam, if I select this and you see that, it kind of brightened up a little bit, and that's why I'm kind of doing this later in the day, so it's kind of dark. That indicates that the LED light is on. Tapping it, again, will turn it off. Right there, we have our microphone. If I select the microphone, it is now sending my voice through the microphone. Right next to that, there is a audio on and off, so if I toggle this on or off, I can either hear things from the camera, or I can select not to hear things. Up in the right-hand corner here, there are the 4 kind of prong box there. That is to have our camera change to the full screen mode. I can go back simply by selecting back. Right here we have our SD card. If you're using a micro SD card with your camera, selecting this will allow you to look through your SD card. Now, notice right here on this particular day, it's showing me, hey, there was a person about here in the timeline. So if I come down to here, it will automatically start scrubbing, and you saw the image change. And if I tap there, I can pause, rewind, or fast forward 30 seconds. So if I tap that, it will jump ahead 30 seconds until I find, there we go. There's the person, that's me going to get extra batteries for my camera. But you can see within this time space, there are 6 events, and it's letting us know that. And you can scrub within this time frame. Notice I had the camera off for specific amounts of time. That's why you're gonna look for these green markers to let you know. You can also change your date simply by selecting the back or forward arrows, and that will change the date. It will keep you roughly within the time frame. So there, that was a motion event. And if I scrub through this, you can see I turned it off, I turned it back on again shortly, and then I was doing it in bursts as I was testing. But you can also select the calendar right here and pick what day you want to go to. I'm gonna select back to bring us back here, and I'm gonna bring us back to today, because while we have this, we can take a photo. So if I take a photo, that saves the footage to our album here. I can record what I see on screen, and it's recording it directly to the album. I can select stop. And then if I want to access any of these, so it says save to my device, I can select album, which will bring me into the album. And here, these are the saved videos. And then here is my saved photo. For any of these, if I want to delete it, I can select it and select delete down here, or I can share this via however I can share with my phone, or I can select edit, select something, and then share or delete multiple items. I'm going to delete this one and select OK, and we're going to go back. From within our SD card timeline, I also have the ability to go to live. Once we go to live, that brings us back to our live video feed. Now you will see that we have similar functionality that we did with our SD card, where we can take a photo, which will take a snapshot of what it's seeing right now. We can record, which will record video of what we're currently watching. This is new for the Wyze Cam Pro. This is Smart Focus. Now, when it's green like this, that means that the Smart Focus is turned on, and it has mixed results, personally. It does track a person or object in frame, but it's not 100%. It's not as good as if you had a pan tilt camera with motion tracking, but if you're looking for a single device that can do a lot of things and not have a lot of moving parts, this is a nice feature to have. Notice it says beta because they're still working on it. But if I tap on that, it will turn off the smart beta feature. Now, if we scroll over, because that's the thing, you'll have to actually drag this over. Based on previous UIs from Wyze, it took me a while, so I'm letting you know. You have a siren option there, which will allow you to turn on an audible siren through the camera. We have access to our album. If I select album, just like we saw before, it brings me into my album area. We also have the ability to do time lapse, which is one of the great things that you can do with your Wyze camera. By setting up a time lapse, you can set a start date and time, an end date and time, and then your interval. Once you do that, you simply select set, and the camera will snap photos and at the end create a time-lapse video that you can watch. I've done this with other Wyze cameras and it's a really cool feature. And last but not least, over here we have the turn off. So you can turn off your camera, meaning it will not actively be viewing you or making any recordings. This particular function is why I recommend leaving the LED status light on so that you can be aware when the camera is active or not active. Coming down to our recent event area, we have the ability to filter, and here are all of those icons I was talking about. You have motion, sound, person, package, pet, and vehicle. Now, some of these do require the Cam Plus subscription. For testing purposes, I am using a subscription, and I just want you to be aware of that. But it's nice that they give you little visualizations that you can view on the feed here. Now, for this particular event, if I wanted to, I select it, and it will load the event up here. And then here we go. This is my cat walking down the hall. That is both a motion trigger and a pet trigger. If we scroll down, we'll find one where it has people. Here we go. I'll come down to this one. This is both a person and pet event. So there I am, the person walking over to grab a review item, and then there'll probably be a cat wandering into frame. If I click on this, I have the ability to speed up one of these timeline items. So there's the cat. And if I click on this, I can speed him up. So now he's going 4 times faster. If we rewatch this, you can see I'm moving 4 times faster as well. And 4 times is the maximum that you can get when speeding this up, which is a little tricky to do around the camera, but you get the idea. From here, with a clip, I can download, and I will download it to my device's library. I can share, or I can delete. If I'm done with a clip, I can simply select to go live. It will reload the camera and I can scrub through more events as I wish. We also have the ability to select specific days. Notice I can shrink down days. I can show all events, and that's going to show me all of my events for all of my cameras, but it kind of groups your events in a single day. So right now, for the particular time frame that I'm testing, I have 2 days worth of events. Now, you don't have to click on the arrow, you simply select the date itself, and that will open it up. It makes it a little tricky if you're trying to hit that arrow. But those are all of the controls that we can do for the Wyze Cam Pro. If we look up to the top right corner of our screen here, we see a sprocket icon. That's going to bring us into the settings for the Wyze Cam Pro. We can also see right here that it is indicating that I have a Wyze Cam subscription right there. So if you didn't, it would have the option there to kind of prompt you to go and get one. We're going to select our sprocket icon right here and check out the settings that we get with the Wyze Cam Pro. First and foremost, we have the name. We simply select this and we can type in a name, or we have a couple of pre-designated ones that we can do. We hit save when we're done. Next, we come down to our detection settings. Here you can set the motion sensitivity from a low to high. We also have the ability to turn on detection zones. Right now I have this off, but if I turn this on, it's going to show me a grid view. And it's saying, hey, what do you want? So I'm going to clear it, because that little box right there was a preset that I did previously. But let's say I only want this area over here, and I just kind of run my finger back and forth and it will fill in the boxes for me. But you can get kind of granular where it's like, hey, maybe this window back here, I want to know what's going on there, as well as down here. And you saw if I want to remove something, I simply tap on it again. That does make this part a little tricky if you don't get it done in one shot. And hit save, and now we have a detection zone set up. And I'm going to come back. We have motion tagging. So that green box that you saw around myself and my pet, that's the motion tagging, letting you know, hey, this is what I saw and what I'm tracking. And then here we have sound sensitivity. So if you have alerts set for your sound, you have a sensitivity scale right there. I'm going to select back. And now we're going to come down to event recordings. Right now I have record motion events, and we have the ability for all motion or smart detection events. This is only available if you have a Cam Plus subscription. That's why it has that little eye there. If you tap on that, it will let you know. Person events for additional blah, blah, blah. We have the ability to record sound events. I tend not to because there's not a lot going on in here. But we have smart detection. This is, again, only available with Cam Plus. So here you can toggle on person, friendly faces. I don't have that level of Cam Plus, but if you had it, you could turn that on. Pet vehicle package. This is an inside camera, so I don't have to worry about packages. And then additional sounds, crying, meowing, barking, or talking. This is kind of really cool. So if you have a young child or pets, or hey, maybe there's talking that shouldn't be happening at specific times of the day, this will automatically detect it and then start recording. Coming back, we have our notifications. Notice it has the plus next to it. That is again an indication that I'm using a Cam Plus subscription. I have my notifications currently turned off because I was getting a lot of them while I was testing. But if I turn on my notifications, I can select what I want to be notified about. So in my case, I want person, pet, and vehicle. We also have sounds, but we cannot turn that on unless we have sounds enabled. And what this will do is push a notification to your smartphone if it detects any one of those toggled items. Next, we have alarm setting. We have smoke alarm and CO2. Pretty much every smoke alarm or CO2 alarm in the United States has a specific sound. So what this will do, if turned on, will listen for a smoke detector sound coming from within your house and send you an alert if you happen to have these turned on. Coming down, we have spotlight settings. You have the ability to have low or high. Right now, I have it on high. You have control spotlight, which high is best for outdoor, low they say for indoor. Coming down, spotlight controls, we have auto, and then it says light will be turned on when it's dark, and dark is subjective, it figures it out for itself, or you can turn it off completely. Next you have when will it turn it on. So in this case I have when motion is detected, turn on the LED light. You also have the ability to, if sound is detected, to turn on that LED. Timer, how long will that light stay on after it has been triggered? You can set it for as low as 15 seconds and go up to 15 minutes. Generally, I leave it on 1 or 30 depending on where I have it set up. And then we can schedule. You can set up a schedule as to when the spotlight gets triggered and when it should be ignored. Selecting back, we have our advanced settings. So right now I have a micro SD card in my camera. So here we have record to micro SD enabled. And do we want continuous or events only? I have continuous, and that's how I had that long line of items that I could look through. You have manage micro SD card. Selecting this, you pretty much can see how much of the micro SD card is used, and then format, meaning wipe everything on the micro SD card, or eject the micro SD card. We're going to select back. Next we come down to night vision. We have auto on or off. Right now I have it set for auto. And then when does that happen? So night vision, the night vision condition for me, I have it set to dark, but you can set it for dusk, meaning, hey, if it's low light, not complete pitch black, turn those on for me. Then we have our night vision IR lights. You can toggle this on or off. Notice there's a little eye icon right there, and it says recommend that you turn off your IR lights if you have the camera facing a window because you don't want to have that reflection. I really appreciate the fact that Wyze allows you to turn on and off the IR lights because there's not a lot of cameras that have that function, especially since Wyze kind of very good to put up against a window if you don't want to put the camera itself outside. Camera status light, as I mentioned before, this is a good thing to keep on, especially if you're going to use that on-off button for the camera. For its recording mode, here we have rotate image 180 degrees. I have that off because, well, it's not upside down. But if you had the camera in an upside down position, you can turn that particular function on and the image on your phone would look correct. Next we have show timestamp, show logo, and then record sound. These three all are part of the recorded video. If you don't want a timestamp as part of your video, which I strongly recommend keeping in, you can toggle that on or off. Show the Wyze logo right here. I can understand not wanting to have that in there, but if you did, toggle it on like I have. If you don't, toggle it off. Record sound, depending on where you might be, you might not be able to record sound with video. Believe it or not, there are some laws against that. If you need to do video recording without sound, simply toggle that off. Next you have sync time. Simply selecting that will sync the time to your local time. Coming down, we have rules, which will allow you to set up specific triggers and actions that can happen for your camera or other Wyze devices based on actions that happen with the camera, such as, hey, if a person is detected in this room, maybe turn on this Wyze plug over here so they can see what's going on. Next you have sharing. Selecting this, you can share with a new user. Keep in mind that if you share this camera with somebody, they will need to have their own Wyze account in order for you to be able to share. Device info, just like it sounds, is going to give you information about your device. That's going to be firmware, MAC address, serial number, all that can be found here. Wyze support. If you need help for your device, you can select this option right here and be brought to Wyze support. So you have Help Center, Begin Troubleshooting, and Submit Logs. So it's nice that that's built in and easily accessible for you should you need to provide that to Wyze. Right here, you can delete this device. So if you're passing the device off to somebody else, like I might be doing, you can delete the device from your account and pass it off and it will be no longer associated with your Wyze account. And we're going to select back because that is everything that we can do within the Wyze Cam Pro interface. If we back one more time, I'm going to quickly touch on overall areas of our Wyze app. So we were on our home, that's how we accessed the camera. We have events. Keep in mind, if you have multiple cameras, it's going to bring all of them into one place. You can filter for a specific camera if you want, simply by selecting that, and I can select which one I want. We have monitoring. I don't have monitoring, so I don't use that, but if you have Wyze monitoring, that's how you access those features. You have shopping, just like it might sound. They're pushing the shopping. They have it right there. And then your account info, that's going to be where you can click to see how your Cam Plus subscriptions are doing. You can see your account information, your homes if you have several, your services, so this is how you can manage your Wyze Cam subscriptions. Security, if you have one of those, sharing, notifications, firmware, this is where it groups all of that stuff together. So if you want to do multiple things for many cameras, check your account rather than going directly into the camera. But this has been the Wyze application for the Wyze Cam Pro.